World of YouTube. True crime. Terrible sight. And then I watched a channel last night that I thought was going to give some evidence out. But just like any other channel, they suck you in to watch their videos. I did subscribe to the guy. He does seem legit. Pretty good. Investigator, I would say. He's supposedly talked to a lot of police in a lot of cases, I guess. But the disappointing thing is, he says he's got 3 signatures left by the killer. I didn't hear nothing in this video about any 3 signatures left by the killer. All he did mention it was a very odd scene, which I'm sure everybody has heard about. He did mention one thing that is very, important, and that is, police, not giving information on a case. Now, sometimes, don't get me wrong, not giving information on the case is not a bad thing, because if there's a killer out there and he's a smart killer and he starts getting ideas, revved up from what he hears on the news, or the news is coming out with stuff, that the police say so. If the police say something that will tip him off and he does something and they missed him because they said something and they got blown out of proportion, hey, I can understand police not giving information. But in a way, he does make a point about talking about the Golden State Killer. Supposedly this guy, I never looked up on him. I tried to stay away from the rapists because they're friggin' ridiculous. They're stupid, idiots, morons, punk-ass people that are wimpy, weak, and can't get a friggin' woman if they tried. They gotta take a woman's innocence instead of making them love them and feel for them. No, they gotta take that innocence away, and they gotta feel superior about it. That's why I kind of don't looking into kind of stuff like that. I try and stay away from the killer, but sometimes I'll throw something in and out of there, don't get me wrong, because of something that they've done and it's the same as someone else has done type thing. Copycat maybe, or some ideas, right. But other than that, he talks about the Golden State Killer in this video, and the police not giving out information to the public. And because of that not being done, this guy was setting up in people's houses, I guess. And literally, if someone saw something, they could have reported it. I think he said someone had a plate number. But because he didn't know it was the Golden State Killer, it seems suspicious. Now, this is the number one thing. If you get that gut feeling and this guy written down the license plate on this Golden State Killer, or Golden Gate, or Golden Bridge, or whatever the hell he was, let's just call him the Golden piece of shit. and he threw the friggin' license plate number away because the person was just standing there observing a house and then just drove away. Alright, if you see someone suspicious, this is the problem. If you see someone suspicious and you take down a friggin' number, it doesn't matter if they're not looking dangerous or not, you turn that in, call. You immediately do what your friggin' mind just said you to do. Not, it's nothing. I'll throw that paper away. Yeah, that's right. Stupid. I mean, this is the problem with people. If they get a gut feeling and then they just overlook it, hey, that guy could have caught that Golden State Killer, but... And they blame it on the law enforcement. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes law enforcement does do some pretty odd, dumb things. And if they said that if they would have put out what this guy was doing, and if someone would, the guy was going in and preparing himself, for Christ's sake, in people's houses. I mean, he had shit set up before they came home. In some sort of way, however he was doing that. That's messed up. And the police weren't putting it out, and that's why he kept doing what he was doing. And that leads me to, he's talking about the Delphi. I don't know why I kept calling it Delphi. I think I'm saying it wrong. It's Delphi. Forgive me, I don't use this word a lot. If I'm not into words of using them all the time, I don't say them right. I'm calling it Delphi. I think you call them Delphi or Delph. I don't know. Moving on. In all seriousness. So this guy claims there was DNA, a smudged fingerprint, and things that could catch this guy, and they're not releasing it to the public, and they're not going forward with anything he says. Supposedly this guy has talked to the police and asked them why. And I'll tell you something. I talked to the, like I said, the DPW guy, and I did leave another message to him because I wanted to go over some stuff. I told the lady that my phone got cut off or something. Guys never called me back. And like I said, I was talking to that guy, and I said my phone went blank. Now, either one, he hung up, or two, he was listening. And when I was done with my thing, he just didn't know what to say. I don't know. Whatever the case may be. If I said something to startle him that the police have and they didn't release to the public, and I've already had that happen with me. I said something in the Maura Murray case that the police knew of, but never released it to the public. And I, too, talked to someone. But I can't reveal nothing yet. And, what is it that the police hold? And then you got some random guy like me coming around, or this guy saying something about the case, and they're like, oh shit. What? What? Oh man. Like I say, didn't give this guy nothing on this Delphi case. Delphi. Oh man. I'm gonna get my balls busted for this. But I'm just saying, it's strange, right? When the police have something, and he claims that these police have something, but they won't release it. And I think it's something that could catch the killer. Just like I think they might have something with the Henry Bedard case. But nothing's come out. Hell, who knows what they have for information, on them 3 kids that I just did that went missing in Iowa. And it all leads down to all this kind of crazy shit. And what's there and that, and what was at the Delphi murders was an odd scene. One of the detectives said he'd never seen any kind of murder scene like it. He wouldn't be the first one that has said in an interview or any kind of investigation. There have been other police officers that say, this is the first time I've ever seen a case like this. And of course, this is the strange, odd, bizarre one. But, whatever it is, this guy claims that they can solve it with something. And that leads me to this next thing. Now, I did mention something about a windbreaker being on that gentleman. Alright? I found another person talking about a suspect. I got the names confused. And I've already done a video on him, but I went into this and I wanted to show you something he said. Now, mind you, when I went into this case, the Delphi murders, I knew nothing about it. That analyst of the guy on the bridge, I did with not knowing nothing about it. It doesn't say nothing about what he's wearing but the hat, and a sweatshirt. When I looked at that picture, I could clearly see a windbreaker because when I was younger, I'd always be wearing a windbreaker, so I know what they look like. Hell, my son has took on my generation. He has bought a windbreaker. But I used to always wear a windbreaker when I was in my late teens. Early 20s. And then I got out of it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was in my, teenage years, younger years, concert shirt, friggin', camouflage pants. That's all I wore. And then I got into the windbreakers. Didn't suit me well. I didn't like it. But what that leads me into this, this guy right here is reading a whole list of things. I don't know where he got it from, but to clarify that, he's over here talking about this evidence to solve this case. But as I was going through stuff, this guy came up again. This guy. Now, this is the guy I said that's a puny little guy. Little Mr. I don't want to insult Mr. Pee Wee Herman, but he reminds me of a Pee Wee little guy. A little guy. Yeah, like Chris Farley in Black Sheep. Or that movie, yeah, was it Black Sheep? Yeah, where he friggin' inherits his fat guy and a little coat, right? But this is what he's using. This reminds me of Chris Farley talking to David Spade. Oh, you just a little wee guy. That's right. That's what this guy reminds me of. He is a known sex offender, but yet he has a wife. His life is ruined now, mind you. But, like I said, when I did that description on that guy, this was way before I read this article. Because the only reason why I looked up this article is because a lady came out on a video of him. I think I saved. Did I save it? No. I thought I screenshot the damn video, but it was a new video, and it came up. I don't know if it was this year or last year, but when I got into reading this, it says here, still he said he maintains the Marine mentality and would never let his hair protrude out from underneath headgear like the man in the Delphi goddamn bug search sketch. Yeah, search. Got a bug in my eye. Fucking bastard. In the Delphi sketch, he wouldn't be caught wearing a windbreaker. See, I'm good when I analyze stuff, huh? I always have something in the past that I can bring up for the future. But, he wouldn't be caught wearing a windbreaker and jeans like the other looking man captured in a cell phone. He has more respect for himself, he said. Yeah, I find that hard to believe being a friggin' sex offender. That I don't know about the guy, but hearing them words and him being one of them, I don't like that kind of shit, but I already said this guy is definitely not the guy, because look at this shoulder span in this picture. Perfect. Because it ain't bulging up top and rounded off. It's friggin' all puny, scrawny, and skinny. So, but this person is still in that video. I would have to look up to see when the date. I don't know. I think it was still new, but they're still, bagging this guy. There is one feature that would make me think this guy would look like the one in the sketch. It's got to do with the guy's mouth. Bear with me, squeezing through a fence open. Right here, see how his mouth goes down? That's kind of like the sketch. But his nose piece up here, bridge, is too spread out wide. This might be a little bit in the sketch, but the mouth, but it ain't him. That friggin', like I said, right there with the eyebrows, that is way too wide for the sketch, and his shoulders are too small. They're not broad enough. Yeah, he didn't get the broad shoulders, so. But to see this come up saying he would never be caught wearing a windbreaker. And I mentioned a windbreaker before I friggin' even said, you know, before I even read anything. It wasn't even in the reports that I read of that guy wearing a windbreaker. They said a sweatshirt. Even in the sketch, it looks like they got a sweatshirt. And I knew right off the bat when I saw that it was a friggin' windbreaker. And this guy said it. But that being said, and this mysterious, you know, and this other person talking about blood stains and a friggin' smudged finger, you know, right? Why hasn't this been tested? And like everybody keeps writing in my comment boxes that it has to be someone that is very, very, very related and close into that town. Whether he lived there, moved away, moved back, it's someone from that town. Or maybe the outskirts of town. But I mean, to put people like this, though, that really does suck. Even though this guy's a sex offender. You know, to friggin' take people and accuse them of wrongdoings. You know, that really sucks. It does. That's the only thing I feel sorry for this guy. He's got to live his life being, you know, labeled. And it ruined his friggin' life. I mean, I'd say he ruined his life being a sex offender, but, you know, other than that, this murder shit and labeling and, you know, that's the thing. What I know about people and how they look, it sucks because, like I say, I think in my thoughts, theories, ideas, that caveman made the inbred. And that's why there's a lot of people that look like each other due to the caveman. It's not because they were wanted to, right? It's because their education and their, you know, brains back then weren't working right. They weren't fully developed. They didn't know. That's why I say you see a lot of people look like people. And that's why it's easy to friggin' label someone and, you know, get them as a suspect. But other than that, there's something out there that this other guy knows about. And it's not being looked at. It should be a petition. But I mean, if there is something that will alert the killer, I mean, I'm all for not seeing it being put out there to the public. But if it has to be, like the guy said, you know, people could be saved if they knew a little bit more, I say do it. But other than that, if they're not doing that kind of stuff and they're screwing up their investigation that way, that's one of their big mistakes. Overlooking, not putting out info. So, you know, it's time to get up with the times. But if you're out there doing things and because of it, you know, covering up, well, shame on you. Shame on you, and I hope you burn in hell for it. Because if there's something that can solve it, but you're not because you're covering, burn in hell. But until our next video, be safe, take care, beware. But like I say, this video was a disappointment that I watched because 3 signatures of what? He never said what. Just that there's fingerprints, a smudged fingerprint, and blood stains that probably weren't even a good, but Other than that, what did the killer leave behind? Just an odd crime scene that no one ever seen before in that town. That should be put out to the public, but I don't know. It's just insane how things just get tossed around. Yep. Sometimes you wonder, is the law here to protect you or bury you?